Hi everyone, welcome to Leisure in Your Life. This is our first week together. This week we're going to be talking about two concepts, namely classical versus contemporary leisure. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So the first question I'd like to ask is, what is leisure? And we're going to approach this from a classical perspective. So if we think about classical leisure, we have to think about it in terms of the Greeks and the Romans' perspective. And what they believed was that leisure is non-utilitarian. Now, Aristotle gives us a very good definition of what non-utilitarian is. It means that it is a state of being free from the necessity of being occupied. Now, if we think about examples of leisure that we engage in today, for example, myself, I would either go on a hike, now that it's the season, I might go skiing, or anything else where I use my body and get outdoors. But for the Greeks and the Romans, this was something that was the opposite of that. It was something of being free from the state of being occupied. And what Aristotle believed was that it can take two forms. Namely, it could be either engaging in music or it could be engaging in contemplation. And if we want to understand this a little bit better, we can look at the YouTube video that I posted at the end of the slide. And as you go through this video, you'll notice they talk about something called Nicomachean ethics. And what these ethics are is they're asking us, what does it mean to live a good life? And the good life for Aristotle, he first asked us this question. He asked us, is living a good life gathering wealth, honor, or bodily pleasures? And his answer to this question was, no, it's not. And the reason for that is he identifies human beings as being different from any other animal on earth because we have the ability to reason. And this ability to reason allows us to engage in one of those aspects of classic leisure, namely contemplation. And if we think about music, music is a state where you're listening to the music, and so you're also free from being busy. It's also a non-utilitarian activity. And so that sums up the view of the Greeks and the Romans' view of leisure. And if we go on to the next slide, I inserted this picture just to show us what the Romans perceived leisure to be like. If you have a look at the picture, you'll see something that we might have seen on TV or have heard about. Romans like to have their food while lying down and being in a leisurely state. And so this was when I found this picture, I thought it was a really good representation of what leisure was like for the Romans and the Greeks. It was a non-utilitarian state, so you can see they're not being occupied in anything. I think that they're probably listening to music in the background, but you can also see that from their faces, I'd like to think that they're deep in thought as well. So they're busy contemplating. All right, let's move on to the next one. So the next question, what is leisure? It's going to be approached from the 20th century perspective, and this is our modern day leisure. Now, with modern day leisure, it is the flip around of what the Greeks and the Romans believed in. It's non-productive consumption of time. And if we want to understand what this means, we have to understand our modern day context. So for the Greeks and the Romans, the good life and the ultimate state of being was being free from being occupied, was non-utilitarian. So they did as much as they could to be free from work. Well, in the 20th century, that's the opposite. We engage mostly in work. A large portion of our day goes towards, if you're a student, going to classes and doing homework, and if you're working, and going to work. And that's become our natural state. And leisure is this container that we fill up with our free time. It's a very small container. It's the residual time, so it's the time that's left over at the end of the day that we have full with the leisure activities we want to engage in. All right, so I put in that little picture of the caveman just to symbolize that, our natural state is to have to work for the things that keep us alive. So we have to work to graduate, or we have to work to earn an income. And only once we've done those things can we engage in leisure. That's the description for leisure for this week. Once you have completed the discussion and the quiz that's posted on the modules, the next week's lesson will tell us a little bit about leisure paradigms. Here's a quick little overview of what you can expect to come the following week. We're going to be delving into this much more in depth. This is based off of Neulinger's work. You're welcome to have a look just to prepare yourself for that lesson. And good luck on this week.